Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Screen Scene Guru. This is a continuation of the spooky videos of October that I am doing. Starting off with Ghost Adventures. Very exciting episode I just got done watching. This one was titled Holidale Asylum of Hell. So very interesting stuff. You guys can check it out on Max and on Discovery Plus. Also on Prime Video. Going into this came out on October 22nd. Zach and the crew gain access to an abandoned medical complex in Downey, California. Most of the disturbances were recently elevated by Zach's recent appearance, and of course, cattle mutilations in the building. They believe they had kids messing with them, stealing their SD cards from their cameras. Practicing some ritual occultish stuff, which was not too great. Aaron, Billy, and Jay walked in on a room where they had found baby goats and a chicken slaughtered, which is really disturbing for people that are animal lovers. And they also went into the controversy of Aaron Goodwin's wife being arrested in this latest episode, so they did spill a bit of tea towards the end. Which I wasn't really sure if they would address that this season or not, given that it happened earlier in the year. But yes, they did address that in this episode. So there's a little bit of TMZ drama towards the end, but it was a really fascinating episode. They talk about how Zach was really affected by a doll. The ghosts come through on their paranormal puck and actually describe doll, and that kind of makes Zach seem a little uneasy. They said that this is the most affected he's been, even over the demon house where he had to wear the prism glasses. So yeah, really interesting stuff here. They are going to be coming out with another episode next week on Wednesday. It comes out on Wednesday nights, so be sure to check that out. Going into some more horror topics real quick, I do want to acknowledge the year we've had. The highest grossing horror film of 2025 was Conjuring: The Last Rites, which I went out and saw. I have a video out on the channel, I believe, for it, which grossed approximately $400 million globally in late September 2025. It surpassed other major horror releases this year, such as Sinners and Final Destination Bloodlines. But I do want to bring up real quick, Sinners grossed $366.7 million worldwide, and it's a really good film. I'm hoping it's going to get Best Picture. Also, it is the second highest grossing horror film of 2025. It achieved this without being part of an existing franchise, so that's really important. It was a new original story. Final Destination Bloodlines movie earned $3.13 billion worldwide, placing it the third on the list of top grossing horror films of the year. And then, of course, Weapons, another original horror film, performed well. It grossed $263.4 billion worldwide. So, another great year for horror. I gotta say, 2025 probably is the biggest box office gross for horror ever, which is very exciting news to hear. Let's see. I do want to go into a little bit more of this. Let's see. What are the highest grossing horror films 2025? Okay, so it says Conjuring: Last Rites. Highest grossing horror film 2025, Conjuring: Last Rites, which surpassed others. Top contenders like Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines. Highest grossing film of the year. So yeah, it sounds like Conjuring's won over all of them, which it's the longest lasting franchise out of all of these horror IPs. So it makes a lot of sense. Do you want to go into real quick what is the highest grossing horror film of all time? It still is ranked as It. So what's really funny is that the highest horror film of all time which I have a chart right here. If you look up highest grossing horror films, worldwide gross, the ranks, everything, it starts off with number 1, It, from 2016. It made $704-224 million. So really honest earnings there. Then right behind that is The Sixth Sense, and then I Am Legend and World War Z, which I wouldn't pick those films as the highest grossing horror films, but it looks like It, The Sixth Sense, I Am Legend, and World War Z are the top 4 contenders. We can see a couple more on this list. So real quick, Conjuring Last Rites has made it up to number 6 in this list, guys, of most highest grossing horror films. So we've got number 1 is It from 2016. We've got The Sixth Sense, which I believe that came out in the 90s. I Am Legend, World War Z, Jaws is number 5, which that's very interesting. Conjuring Last Rites is number 6. It Chapter 2 is number 7. Beetlejuice is number 8. The Exorcist is number 9. 10 is Signs, so that's great. Great news to hear. 11 is Prometheus. 12 is Sinners, so that's very interesting. 13 is The Nun. 14 is Hannibal. Then we got 15 is Alien Romulus, so really good news here. 16 is Quiet Place. 17 is Conjuring 2. 18 is the first Conjuring. Then all the way down at number 19 is Final Destination Bloodlines, which is very interesting stuff. Just going on from there, number 20 is Resident Evil Final Chapter. 21 is Annabelle Creation. 22 is Resident Evil Afterlife. 23 is Van Helsing. 24 is A Quiet Place Part 2. And 25 is Five Nights at Freddy's, which I still haven't watched. I need to check that out. So going on from there, we've got 26 is Split. 27 is Scary Movie. 28 is The Silence of the Lambs. 29 is The Nun Part 2. And 30 is Weapons. So number 30 is Weapons. 31 is A Quiet Place Day 1. 32 is Halloween. 33 is The Village. 34 is Annabelle. And 35 is Us. So really good stuff here. I've watched most of these films already, but going off into 36 is Get Out. 37 is The Ring. 38 is The Blair Witch Project. 39 is Dark Shadows. 40 is Alien Covenant. So pretty cool stuff here. 41 is Resident Evil Retribution. 42 is Annabelle Comes Home. 43 is Constantine. 44 is Interview with the Vampire. So I'm glad that made it on the list. 45 is Scary Movie 3. 46 is Dracula Untold. 47 is Smile. 48 is Bram Stoker's Dracula. 49 is The Others. And 50 is Jaws 2. So that's the top 50 horror films, the grossing of all time, numbered off. I won't go into the box office how much they made overall, but 1 through 50 of all the highest grossing horror film box office, which I think is pretty good. And then let me go into my movie notes real quick for you guys. So the International Asteroid Association, which is something ran by the UN, has officially started looking into 3i Atlas, which is very exciting news. They're officially going to start tracking it with their high sensor deep probes. And this is, of course, a UN party group which studies asteroids coming towards Earth, because we do believe 3i Atlas will be making its closest pass by Earth on December 19th. So that's very interesting news. Tom Holland reportedly isn't going to be in Spider-Man Doomsday. This is just a rumor been flying around that he doesn't have a role to play. His Spider-Man doesn't have a role to play, but there could be Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire involved in the project. So that's very interesting. NASA was also wrong about the direction of 3i Atlas. They thought it was just going to go behind the sun and stay behind the sun. It turned out to be a million miles off course from what they thought it was. It's going towards a gas cluster, which a lot of people speculate is going to absorb the gas and most likely feed off of it. Aviloeb said you shouldn't be making vacation plans towards the end of December, which is kind of a running joke of his. That he's recently been on a sports podcast where they asked him about the pyramids and all kinds of different things about our human history and how we could have evolved by having help from extraterrestrials, where he speculates we don't have a record of what happened during the past, who came, where, and when. So it's very possible that Aviloeb believes we could have had interventions, we could have had help from other species, or he believes that humanity could have been a much more advanced culture, civilization in the past, that something might have happened, a devastating disaster perhaps, that made us fall back. Going on from there, we did hear that after 3i Atlas went behind the sun, it dimmed 21% in its light, which is kind of fascinating news to hear about. And of course, it's headed toward the gas cluster to absorb it. So that also makes it seem intelligent and possibly rudimentary, some kind of AI perhaps piloting it. But yeah, a lot of people said on November 3rd, so right after Halloween, we should be able to see it on October 31st, but right around November 1st to 3rd, we should be really getting a good look at it coming out from behind the sun. Fallout Season 2 is coming out in December, right around the time of 3i Atlas showing up. We're going to be getting Fallout Season 2, which I'm really excited for. I recently caught up on the first season this year, and I've watched it. It was one of the first television shows made by Amazon MGM, and it had really high quality. So I can't wait to see what Season 2 holds. And I believe this is going to be weekly drops episodes. They're not going to drop the whole season at once, because that didn't do well for them the first time around. It got a lot of speculation, a lot of people talking for a few weeks, but then after about the second or third week, they dropped off of Fallout. And if you hadn't already watched it, you basically didn't hear about it. So what Amazon is doing now, similar to what Netflix and other streaming services are doing, is they're dropping it week by week, which I think will do very well for them. So going on from there, we saw Netflix dropped the trailer for Troll 2, which I really liked the first movie. If you haven't seen it already, check out Troll. It is a Scandinavian film, Nordic film, but this looks like the largest production ever in the Nordic countries from Netflix, Troll 2. And it's coming out at the end of the year, I believe on November 17th, so next month. Really exciting news to hear about that. And then, of course, Miley Cyrus has reportedly recorded a song for Avatar, Fire and Ash, supposedly trying to get herself back into good graces, the popularity with her audience, coming out with a song for Avatar, Fire and Ash. It makes sense, given that in the last few years we've seen Ariana Grande make her debut from television, music, now to movies. And of course, Miley Cyrus most likely wants to do that. I don't think she'll have a big role in the film. I just think that they give her a song to sing, which is a pretty iconic, big thing. So Nightmare on Elm Street director recently came out in a statement and said he wants Jim Carrey to play Freddy Krueger. And I don't know how I feel about this, because Jim Carrey's been getting all the roles, it seems like, with this Jetsons update. And now with this, Nightmare on Elm Street, I get that they want to reboot the franchise, and that it's been a long time since, we've gotten a Nightmare on Elm Street, but I don't really see Jim Carrey playing Freddy Krueger that well. I get that they want to bring comedy back to the franchise instead of being pure horror, and I've been saying for years they need to bring back Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead and bring back that franchise, because I think since it's just gone to horror, it's gone to crap. But it's funny to hear that some people are saying comedy needs to come back to horror. Similar to how that last Final Destinations did. A lot of people were laughing in the theater about that, which was pretty shocking. Going on to a little bit of political ish news, we are on day 25 of government shutdown. Of course, nothing's going to be happening this weekend because the House Senate majority left on Friday over the weekend, so no deals are going to be made, nothing's going to be talked about until Monday, as of the soonest. So it's just really going far to show the Republicans are not caring about our health care, and they don't care about our well-being. SNAP's, the food benefits has stunted. It prevented the payment for this upcoming November. And a lot of states are worried. They're starting food banks with the National Guard handing out supplies. Certain states have declared emergencies because of this. So it's very interesting news to hear, guys. We also heard about a bit of Star Wars news, so I do want to whip out my lightsaber real quick. Okay. So, a bit of Star Wars news that is a bit shocking, not too surprising though, that we had a Hunt for Ben Solo film apparently being done by, of course, we had Adam Driver returning, and I want to say it was a big-time director, Steven Soderbergh, was going to direct a Hunt for Ben Solo film, which it sounded like the script was done. They had a pretty confident director and actor, but Lucasfilm still said no. And apparently from what I heard on the internet was that Soderbergh was so upset, he came out on his own personal social media, and he claimed that Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger were responsible, and that this was the first time they had a fully completed script for a movie ready to go that they just canceled. And I have a feeling that it's probably because of the money Soderbergh asked for, probably the final cut. Apparently I heard that he wanted full control over the film, how it would end, and none of the people over at Lucasfilm would trust him with that, which is very fascinating. We also heard that Rey film that's happening has been delayed because they don't have a script ready, which is shocking because they brought out the female director and Rey came out and even talked on stage to people at the last Star Wars Celebration, talking about how she's so excited about the project, but how do they not have a script ready for it? And how can they not start shooting it? So it's very interesting stuff here. We also heard, I reported on in the last video, that James Gunn addresses the company's shifting over at Warner Brothers and Paramount and how he may not stay on board for the next upcoming slate of projects. He hopes that his Gods and Monsters universe continues, but he's not sure if he will be the one to show us how that universe is set up. That's really fascinating to hear. This is the first time he's addressed that. So really interesting news coming out this week, guys, towards the end of the week. But what do you think about all the Star Wars news? Are you excited? Are you not really too surprised? I also reported on earlier that Donald Glover is doing well. He's being seen in public, and now he's even talking about doing his Lando Calrissian movie for Disney Plus, which I feel like they're just rushing to kind of get things ready in the slate because Mandalorian Grogu movie is coming, and then they've got Star Wars Starfighter coming. So it is very interesting. I kind of wish they'd give us a Star Wars Starfighter update instead of saying projects are getting canceled, because I'm tired of hearing that. But what do you guys think of all the movie news? Let me know down below when you comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. I very much appreciate all the support. But until next time, guys, this is me signing out. Ciao, and have a good one. Bye-bye. And may the Force be with you.